Welcome back to the Cruise Dynasty podcast. We are back at it again, doing what we do. Week 1 is in the books. Football is back. I fucking love it. We're gonna break down week 1, what we saw, ad drops, all that good stuff. Craft man, what's up, man?
Just enjoying finally getting to see some football over the weekend. There was a couple good games, it was a little sloppy out there for a couple of games, but it was definitely better than not having any football at all. So I was just glad to be watching it again.
Yep, back at it. I won some, I lost some. I won some of gambling, I lost some of gambling. You win some, you lose some. We got our tech guy in the building, Swizzy. What's going on, big dog?
Not much. Just happy for football to be back. It's going to be fun sitting here and watch. Sloppy week 1. It'll get better, though.
Yep. Shoot, man. I got a win in the home league versus Chris, who was the champ.
Bullshit.
I could lose every other league and win in that league and be happy about it. But, yep, right here, let's see. We're going to give everybody some ads. We're going to give everybody some players to drop. Maybe talk about some of the things we saw over the weekend, some things we like, some things we don't like, maybe some injury. Yeah, we'll talk about some injuries. With that said, add the podcast. 5-star review. Add me on Twitter. Add Crewman Hamm. I'm giving out gambling all the time, man. College, NFL, UFC, we gambling. And we making money, too. If you want to hear the Craftman Pac-Man, see what he's got to say, Craftman Pac-Fan on Twitter, on X. And if you want to talk to Swizzy, just add Cruise Dynasty Podcast or whatever it is, Cruise Podcast. Something like that. But yeah, man, first off, I say we just get right to it, right to business. Players to add real quick, Craft. Right here, top of the list, you said he would be your number 1, Puka Nacua for the Rams. What did he have like 8 grabs or something like that? What was it, Craftman? Do you know?
He had 15 targets and 10 receptions for 119 yards. Just a great rookie performance week 1. Those are just the type of things that you can't look past when a rookie goes off like that, because targets are an earned stat. And, Van Jefferson, everybody was kind of high on him. I was kind of recommending maybe starting him week 1 with Cup out, but it looks like Puka Nacua is Stafford's favorite target right now is with Cooper Kupp out, and I still think he'll be pretty valuable when Kupp comes back. So this is just one of them guys. When a rookie does that week 1, you can't just shake that off and be like, that was a fluke.
Yeah, and what's his name? Like you said, when Cooper Kupp's out, Stafford he'll target you a lot. So he's definitely about to be targeting Puka Nacua. And then we'll just see how the roles play out, how things play out when Cooper Kupp comes back, if he comes back. I mean, the dude's hurt and he's got a hamstring injury, so you don't know how that is going to play out. Justice Hill, Gus Edwards for the Ravens. J.K. Dobbins went down. Out. I mean, we could just go ahead and say something about J.K. Dobbins, man. It was crazy. It looked like dude's having a good day. He's getting all the work, about to get his second touchdown, it looks like. Instead, he's out to me, this is pretty much career ending. 3 years in a row. Achilles, it's not a good one to have. It's not a good injury to have going into your contract year. And he wanted a contract, and I told you, I was telling you, crap, man, that's goofy that this dude's asking for a contract. You can't even stay on the field. Well, this is why Baltimore's not giving you a contract. You got hurt. I'm not saying it's his fault or anything, but it sucks for Dobbins. But Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, got to pick him up.
Yeah, and I don't know, which one would you rather add, Chris? I got some stuff to say about him, but I would like to hear which one you would prioritize if you had to go out and get one, or are you even wasting your time?
I'm definitely going and getting one. The Ravens have always been a team that utilizes their running backs. They're running a new offense now, but the presumption before J.K. Dobbins went down was J.K. Dobbins was going to be involved as a PPR back. He was going to catch balls out the backfield. With him out the way, somebody's going to have to do that. They're going to have to do that, whether they bring somebody in. They elevated Melvin Gordon. I don't believe that that's going to turn into anything. But Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, I think Justice Hill is probably going to have it, or they may try to do a little 50-50 split back there. But look for these guys. At least have them on a roster. If you're not going to take the chance to play them, I would at least roster them because you're going to have to see how it plays out.
Yeah. And the thing I can say about both these guys is they're both not very good at football. I mean, they've been in the league. These aren't like some newcomers who, are explosive. I mean, Justice Hill had 12 points last week with 2 touchdowns. He had 8 attempts for 9 yards. I mean, and Gus Edwards, I think he's kind of on the back end of his career. But, I mean, it's going to be, they're both going to get a certain amount of work. Justice Hill is probably going to get the passing game work. It was surprising that he got the goal line work with Gus Edwards being the bigger back. But, I think Justice Hill, if I had to add one of the two, I would add him. And, I mean, there's definitely a couple of players that I would drop in order to pick up either one of them just to see how it's going to go. But, a committee, sometimes it don't work out for either one. But there's a couple other running backs that I'd rather have waiver wire adds over these two.
Go ahead. Who are they?
I would rather get Kenneth Gainwell or Kyron Williams. I think Kenneth Gainwell, other than Puka, if I couldn't get Puka Nacua in the waiver wire, I think Kenneth Gainwell would be my next best option if he's out there. So in sleeper leagues, he's let's see, he had 62% snap share, but he had 14 carries compared to DeAndre Swift's 1 carry. So he was definitely the main guy there. And he's 36% rostered right now. So he could still be out there. He would be my number 1 running back ad this week. And then Kyron Williams would probably be my number 2 ad if I had to go out and get somebody.
Agreed. Kenneth Gainwell looks like he's got a hold of that backfield a little bit. Like you said, Swift 1 carry. Penny, a healthy scratch. So that leaves Boston Scott. It's like basically a clusterfuck back there, but it does look like Gainwell is the lead dog back there. But he's a little banged up, right, Kraft?
Yeah, rib injury. He missed practice Monday and today, Tuesday. So they got a Thursday night game. If he misses practice tomorrow, it's probably a foregone conclusion that he's not playing. So I'd keep an eye out on that. If he practices in full, I'd fire him up on Thursday night. I'd start him over, maybe Rashad White, Cam Akers, somebody like that. If I had to, Antonio Gibson, obviously. But, if he's out, that's going to give DeAndre Swift an opportunity to maybe take over the backfield, and this pickup might not work. But I still think that he's the most trusted back in Philly. I think that coaching staff, he's been there for a while. I think they are going to give him the opportunity before they do anybody else.
And you said earlier, Kyron Williams, it looked like he might be about to take over the spot over there in Los Angeles. Cam Akers, you know me, I'm probably his number 1 hater. Every year we're waiting on the breakout. Yeah, it ain't happening. Kyron Williams. I mean, if you look at Cam Akers' stat line, it's like 22 carries for like 29 yards. I think he did get in the end zone. You got in the end zone, you finished with 8 points. Like, that's not very good.
On 22 carries.
God damn. Kyron Williams, though. Chris, would you go pick him up?
Yeah, I mean, especially in your deeper leagues, you want to have all these players on there. It's covering your bases. It's, whenever your first 10 picks or something goes wrong, this is where the waiver wire comes into play. This is where being a good GM and managing your fantasy team comes into play. Right here.
Kraft, anything to say about Kyron Williams?
Yeah, and something to say about Cam Akers, too. His stat line looks really bad. I mean, 22 carries, 29 yards, that's terrible. But most of them carries came in like the fourth quarter when they were up by 2 scores. So in the first quarter, Kyron, before the game got out of hand, Kyron had 12 snaps and Cam Akers had 4. So Kyron Williams was the starter for this team. And he was more efficient. He played 62% of the snaps. So 65% of the snaps. So I just think he's probably the lead guy there.
Agreed. Another
It's
running
not
back.
surprising.
Right. Another running back that I was looking to pick up today. I just couldn't decide who to drop, but he's still out there on people's stuff, on waiver wires and stuff. Roschon Johnson. We were talking about how that's a little bit of a clusterfuck in Chicago. I know all 3 of the running backs got a little run. I know Foreman got in there. Khalil Herbert got in there. Roschon Johnson I think he had 7 targets, something like that. PPR leagues, especially in your redraft leagues, I would take a swing at him if you can afford to drop some of these guys. I wouldn't mind tossing them on out there on my roster.
Yeah, he's more a wait and see type guy, but I mean, rookie running backs, you find some every single year that play a big role at the end of the year for your team. So if you just got a spot, if you got a guy that you just believed in and did absolutely terrible that you don't mind dropping, like a Marvin Mims, somebody like that. I mean, if you didn't get any of these other guys, go grab Roschon. Most of his receiving work was in garbage time, but the Bears suck, and they're going to be in garbage time a lot. So, he should be on the field, and he was the most efficient running back once he came in and played. And I was watching that game because I'm a Packers fan, and man, did he destroy Rudy Ford on that. He just ran him slap over. And then, I mean, he's a good running back, so he's a good speculative ad.
Chris, anything to add on Roschon or?
Man, it's hard to even play anybody on the Bears after watching that, man. I mean, I was rough to watch. Really, really rough to watch.
Yeah, you ain't picking him up to play him. I'll say that. I wouldn't. Right. Yeah, I definitely wouldn't play him, but just to see how this backfield shakes out.
All right, so this is gonna be rare. I'm gonna throw a New England Patriot out there, Kendrick Bourne, a couple touchdowns. But crap, I'm just gonna be honest. I know they did this against Philly. He's more wait and see to me, even though he had a good ass day. Caught a couple touchdowns. I don't know, man. I got to see the Patriots offense a little more. Mac Jones, hey, we ain't been the biggest Mac Jones haters over here. We definitely thought he could take a step up when they got him an actual offensive coordinator and shit like that. But Kendrick Bourne might be someone to take a look at.
Yeah, he does this every now and again, but what's good about him was just the fact that he ran more routes than anybody on the team. I mean, Juju was like the 4th receiver on this team.
Yeah.
Juju played 54% of the snaps. I mean, he's not what if you were willing to draft Juju in your fantasy drafts, then you should be willing to drop Juju and just switch him over for Kendrick Bourne.
Right. Agree. So that one's definitely one to keep an eye on. Jacoby Myers was going the fuck off.
Yeah.
I don't know what to think about that situation because I've been saying it about Jimmy G. Like, he's not going to be throwing the ball deep to Devontae Adams like that, which means Jacoby Myers, who the Patriots should have kept. I think Jacoby is interesting, to be honest. I think that could be one of those pickups could help you win your league right there.
Yeah, other than, Puka, I think he'd probably be the second wide receiver ad for me because, I mean, he was going off. And like you said, Jimmy G just loves dumping that ball down. I mean, he ain't going to score 2 touchdowns every week, but he is in concussion protocol. He got knocked slap out. I would be surprised if he even played this week, but I'd still pick him up.
Right. And then the last 2 names that I got, and you if there's any names out there you just happen to want to throw out, Hunter Henry, tight end 1.
Tight end 1.
Chris brought him up before the podcast, Troutman, because looks like Greg Dulcich went down. gonna be out for a little while. Troutman was ahead of him on the depth chart, anyways. So played for Sean Payton in New Orleans. A couple guys, they're definitely on your waiver wires. Heck, Hunter Henry's on your Dynasty waiver wires and shit. Troutman probably too. So
I literally dropped Troutman in one of our leagues the week before week 1.
So you could definitely go get these guys. Tight end, you know how it is. Fuck those tight ends. Me and Crapman always talking about how these tight ends suck.
And you can see why.
Right here.
Exactly. You can see why. With Kelsey and Andrews out, it's a shit show with who's good and who's not. Because, I mean, it was just terrible. If you scored a touchdown as a tight end this week, you were top 5 at the position. Like, you helped your team out, and everybody else just – I mean, Dallas Goedert, goose egg. Yeah. George Kittle, bad game. I mean, Freiermuth, you can go on, and Njoku, all these guys that some people were a little higher about. I mean, if streaming tight ends is the move, man. I'm telling you, if you ain't got like the top 5 or 6 guys, then just stream one every week.
Yeah, I'm with you. Any more players to add?
Shoot, not really. I had mentioned like Sean Tucker in the same vein as like Roschon. Rachaad White looked really bad. There's a chance that he could take over that backfield middle of the season. We'll see.
So just to recap it right here, we got Kenneth Gainwell, Justice Hill, Gus Edwards, Puka Nacua. Kraft says number 1, Puka Nacua should be at the top of your list. Hunter Henry, Troutman, Roschon Johnson, a little more wait and see. Kendrick Bourne, a little more wait and see. Kyron Williams looks like he's taking over the backfield. And Jacoby, probably number 2 behind Puka Nacua, according to the Kraft man. Chris, you in agreement with any? People go out there and add these players. And then when it comes to redraft, can't be scared to drop players. That's my thing when it comes to redraft. It's way different than Dynasty. You got to have some balls in redraft. You got to be willing to drop some of these guys that you might like and to take a risk and go pick them up. So it ain't like the Dynasty where you got 25 plus roster spots and you can keep them all. So go out there and go pick these guys up and take a risk. You might have to play these guys.
Yeah, I got a couple quick names. Joshua Kelly, he had a good game. He had 16 rushes for 91 yards and a touchdown. Kellen Moore's offense was clicking. They were running the ball. Austin Eckler, I think he even got over 100 rushing yards. That's like the first time. And I can remember on the ground where he rushed for so much. So they're going to run the ball. You know, the Dolphins, they couldn't really stop it. So it's kind of hard to tell if it was just the game plan or if Joshua Kelly's going to be worked in that much. So he wouldn't be bad to go out there and try to get to. And you got a handcuff also with him. So
players to drop. I laugh about it now, but Kadarius Toney, Sky Moore, drop them. I kind of had a little bit of high hopes for Sky Moore. In fact, this is going to be the segment. We're going to start calling this segment Drop His Ass. Go ahead and drop their ass. Both of them wide receivers. Travis Kelce ain't there, and y'all still ain't out there performing. I feel like that is not a good look. Chris sent us the picture in the crew of that pass to K. Toney right in his fucking hands, and that was an interception. Ain't even nobody around him. I mean, come on, man. Kadarius Toney, we've been kind of clowning him for years, but Sky Moore, I had a little bit of high hopes for him year 2, but I don't know. I did not like what I saw from those guys. Maybe when Travis Kelce gets back, it opens it up, but those guys are guys that if I just had to start them, I mean, I wouldn't feel good about it, but drop their ass.
Yeah, and the thing is with them is, I mean, you can hold them, and they could have some games, but are they going to be in your starting lineup when they're having them games? Like, how do you know when to bench them and when to start them? So it's like a lesser Gabe Davis at this point. That's what you got out of these receivers. You know, how do you know when to put them in your lineup? Because Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney had terrible games last week. They might go out. One of them might put up 20 points next week, but they ain't going to be in nobody's fucking lineups.
And I know Rashee Rice got a touchdown, but it wasn't like he was super involved. But, you know, good to get in the end zone. I think the play with them is just, I don't even know, man. It's just Kelsey or nothing. That's just a
We got
closer play.
so many of the same type of receivers too. I mean, you got Justin Ross and Justin Watson out there who has some good plays every now and again. Scantlin still running the most routes. I mean, there's like 5 receivers that they just put in and out of the game all the time, and it's like who's going to do anything today?
That's just the way to roll right there. I mean, and honestly, in real football, I don't even dislike the formula. You know, get you some guys, group of guys out there, throw it out
What do
there.
you,
For fantasy wise, it ain't.
well, what do you
shit.
think about Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney? We'll do Sky Moore first, but dynasty wise, like, are you just willing to just go ahead and bite the bullet and just trade any of them for a pick for like a 3rd rounder?
Oh man, you know what? I think I would just hold on to him for now for that low. You know, before the season started, I traded Kadarius Toney for the 201. And I felt like that was a good deal. Sky Moore, I was willing to buy for a 2nd round pick.
Yeah. I mean, this is just week 1. We don't want to overreact, but I think we're reacting the way we should react anyway.
Right. Chris, anything you want to clown these Chiefs a little bit, or?
I mean, I still can't get over that pass. Like, I look at that picture, and it's just hilarious, man. Like, that was an interception, and then if that dude even had the balls to open his mouth to say anything to Patrick Mahomes about that play, I would have told his ass to sit the fuck down and just go over there, dude. That was horrible. I know Andy Reid probably got in his shit after that. I mean,
you can't trust guys like that. I'm gonna be honest. If you're dropping a pass like that, I mean, there's nobody in my family that would drop that pass. I'm just being honest.
You know what's funny about
honest? If I'm the GM, I'm cutting you after that. I am cutting you after that shit.
Cut
You're
his
off the
ass.
team. Cutting him. You're gone.
I don't know about all that.
I'm
Everybody
cutting
has
him.
a bad game every now and again.
Hey,
Justin Ross might be the most talented receiver.
if the defender, even if he just dropped it, that's fine. But the dude is 5, almost 10 yards behind you, and he intercepts the ball. He intercepts the ball.
He single-handedly lost the Chiefs that game. Like, if he'd have made if he'd have made just one of them catches that he dropped, they probably won that game.
Marvin Mims, drop his ass.
Yeah, if you can't do it without Judy there, I don't see how you can do it when Judy comes back.
Sutton with the touchdown. If he ain't on your rosters, add him, I guess. I shoot my, he's on the pod every now and then. My man to kill started him, and I told him, I was like, "What are you doing, bro?" Told him, I was like, "I got you. You could win, but you're starting Sutton. Start Sutton, and it paid off." I was like, "That was smooth right there. Don't listen to what I'm saying."
I'll tell you what, man. I my Yahoo League, I started Keenan, Terry McLaurin, and Chris Godwin, and freaking Michael Thomas. And I played against Michael Thomas, Cortland Sutton, and Zay Flowers, and they kicked my ass.
Oh man, crazy!
Fantasy's fun, man.
So Marvin Mims dropped their ass, and then some running backs: Deontay Foreman, Rashad Penny, Elijah Mitchell. Drop their ass. Elijah Mitchell, maybe though, to keep. Maybe you wouldn't keep him just in case of CMC injury, or
I'd drop him for any of them running backs we talked about earlier. I mean, maybe I keep him over like Gus Edwards, but I would rather have Justice Hill, Kyron, or Kenneth Gainwell.
Any players that go ahead.
Yeah, one we got to talk about is Antonio Gibson.
Gibson, drop his ass.
You think so?
Listen, I don't know if I could do it after week 1 because I ain't got the balls like that. But it does look like this is Brian Robinson's backfield. No, Chris got some Brian Robinson on his squad. Heck, I just traded Brian Robinson in that one league, man. That's stupid ass.
I just don't know how much more opportunities you can give Gibson. He's been, he's not that old, but he's been in the league a few years. I mean, kind of like Cam Akers. We're waiting on this breakout. Where's it at?
And he did the thing that he couldn't do. I mean, he's had fumbling issues, and Ron Rivera. Now, I don't think he ever really liked him. And you just keep going out there fumbling, and that's a quick way to just lose the job completely. They did put him in after the fumble, but he still only had 3 carries for 9 yards.
Man, just go ahead and drop his ass, man. Go pick up some of these other guys real quick, man. Injuries to take note of. Well, before I throw these injuries, anybody else to drop, Kraft? Anybody else out there that we can just say, hey, get him off my squad, drop his ass?
It wasn't what we thought was going to
Yeah.
happen, guys. I mean, I think we covered. I think we covered most of them. We talked about Rashad Bateman a little bit. Zay Flowers was ahead of him. Odell Beckham ran more routes than he did. He was the third receiver in routes run that first game. But, I would probably hold him right now just because it was the Texans. They got up pretty early. They were able to run the ball. Not every game is going to be like that for the Ravens. They're going to have to air it out. And I think I'd hold on to him for another week.
All right.
What about Drake London? Just throw his ass out. Get his ass out of here.
Good Lord. I'm going to be honest. Listen, I don't hate Drake London for Dynasty because I think the Falcons are going to be changing some stuff. But if you drafted Drake London in redraft, you in for a whole lot of heartbreak this go round. What he had? Was one target all he had? He may have had a little bit.
Yeah. They threw the ball 18 times.
Listen, I love my Falcons, and I was giving Drake London a little bit of the benefit of the doubt because I thought Ritter might target him a little more. I've been off of Kyle Pitts. Like, just because you're getting a high percentage of the target share, if you're throwing it 18 times, it doesn't fucking matter. I'm going to be real. You do not want those guys, man. You need to go – if people down here in the South, if you down here, you go find you some Falcons fans, and you go trade Drake London because – you ain't getting shit. I mean, think about players you could have had. Drake London where was he going in redraft, Kraft?
Shoot, probably like 6th round, 5th round. I mean I don't have him anywhere.
I ain't got one share of best ball or redraft. I got him in 2 dynasty leagues. But heck, in one of the dynasty leagues, I didn't even start him because I had other guys. I was like, I'm gonna play somebody else.
He's talented, though. I mean, nothing against Drake London. It's just that offense, and they're not going to be playing the Panthers every week either. They're going to have to – there's going to be a couple games where they're going to have to throw. They can't just run it every single damn time. But, it's just you're not going to get the high yardages out of him. You're going to be relying on touchdowns with him because I just can't see a game where he has like 10 receptions for, 130 or nothing like that, or 8 receptions for 100. It's going to be more like, 5 for 60 and maybe a score.
Yep. That Falcons offense is a Bijan Algier offense. And if you thought Algier wasn't going to have a role, think again because he looked fucking great out there. And I would be playing him. I think I'd throw Algier in my lineup. I would view him just like any duo that we like out there, like Aaron Jones, A.J. Dillon. Who else is out there? Any of those duos out there that we've liked in the past, I would think.
A.J. Dillon. I do not like A.J. Dillon.
Well, yeah. And it's crazy you sold him for a first round in the Dynasty League. I told Phil that was egregious, man. That was egregious.
Hey, Phil scored like 200-something points and just mopped the floor with whoever he played. So
he played me. It fucked me up. I wasn't even checking that score. I knew I was going to lose, but then I went and looked at it, and I saw the Cowboys done scored 38 for his defense or whatever. I said, well, what the fuck? I mean, how am I supposed to compete with that? But I will say this for that league. I got guys like Puka Nacua, Romeo.
Yeah.
So, but anyways, injuries, real quick. Rodgers, man. Fucking sucks, man. Seriously. I really was wanting to see it play out. I know a lot of people don't like Rodgers, but hell, I used to hate Rodgers. I started liking him as he got a little bit older, a little more cranky. So it made me like him a little more. But Rodgers, just real quick, Crab, man, career-wise, to me, this is another one, man. I was kind of thinking he might stick around 2 or 3 years, but in the Achilles tear, he's kind of old. I don't know, man. This one just doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel like he's going to come back. I mean, he might try to come back next year, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's 50-50, but an Achilles for a quarterback is different than an Achilles for a running back. I mean, if he comes back next year and he's able to, play at 75%, he's still, a better pocket passer than pretty much everybody else in the NFL. So he don't necessarily have to move around like he always has. He already lost a little bit of that, but Tom Brady couldn't move at all throughout his whole entire career. And I mean, I have no idea. He might retire, but I do have to bring this up though, dynasty wise, Garrett Wilson. How do you look at him? And especially in redraft, I'll just go ahead and say that top 5 upside is gone. You don't have it anymore. But you're probably looking at more like a wide receiver 12 to 24, wide receiver 2. And but I really want to know what y'all think in Dynasty because I put him up on a trade block. I ain't trying to get rid of him, but I was thinking along the lines like if I could get a Devontae Smith in a late first or something, maybe. Something like that. But what do y'all think about that?
Go ahead, Chris. You got anything to say about it?
I mean, it's definitely going to take a hit. You don't have, as you just said, I mean, even if Aaron Rodgers plays at 75%, he's one of the best pocket passers in the league. Garrett Wilson, you got to be able to pass. You got to pass the ball for him to be able to be productive. And whenever you lose Aaron Rodgers there, like I agree 100%, that top 5 upside is gone. It is out the window. And you're just going to have to wait, dynasty-wise, hold on to him, because if you drafted him pretty high, or if you went and bought him, you bought him really high. So you're probably going to have to sit on it and see if down the road, either Zach, 2 scenarios, well, really 3. Zach Wilson steps up. I don't think that's going to fucking happen at all. They keep Zach Wilson on, maybe go get somebody else. They bring in a veteran. I mean, it's up in the air. We don't know at this point. But his share still took a hit for sure.
And I mean, last year, Garrett Wilson had a great rookie year, but it didn't come with Zach Wilson at quarterback. It came with Mike White and Joe Flacco at quarterback. Like he sucked when Zach Wilson was out there, and even last night, incredible touchdown catch. But the bottom line was 5 receptions for 34 yards, and that's not going to get it done. But here a couple names in Dynasty that y'all tell me. Could you trade him, or would you trade him straight up for Amon-Ra?
Crap, I'm glad you brought up that name. Before the season, I sent somebody in our league, Amon-Ra for Garrett Wilson straight up. It's just funny how things change around. I wouldn't do it. I'm definitely keeping Amon-Ra. Man, listen, here's what I want to say about Garrett Wilson. Before this year in redraft, we're talking about top 5 upside. We're talking about he could possibly get up in that Tyreek Hill, the Cooper Kupp, Justin Jefferson. Dynasty, we're talking about he could get up there right behind Justin Jefferson, Jamar Chase. We're talking about all that. I think it's out the window. I think it's all the way out the window. And this is one thing I say. I say it on the podcast all the time. Situations, man, they fucking matter. Because this situation is not good, and it's not going to be that good for Garrett Wilson. He's going to be good. He's going to have some good games this year. There's no doubt about it. But it's like you said, that 12 to 24 range is what I'm looking at now, which sucks, man. I took him high and didn't even hesitate. I drafted him in the 2nd round and was ready to ball out with him. I would keep Amon-Ra without a question. And I think if you're Garrett Wilson, honestly, like if you have Garrett Wilson, I would keep Garrett Wilson depending on my roster. I just wouldn't want him as my number 1 guy.
Yeah. But people drafted him like I did in the 2nd round as the number 1 guy. So what about Debo in a first? Would you do that?
I'd keep Wilson, I think. If you could somehow snag Devontae Smith in a first, what about Higgins in a first? Would you do that? I
was thinking about Higgins and Devontae Smith are just the same player to me. I'll take one of the 2 in a first, probably. It'd have to be like a mid first, though. I don't think I'd take like the 112. But what about Ayuk in a first? Ayuk just had a massive week. It's kind of hard to bring his name up right now because everybody's like Ayuk is God right now. But you wouldn't? Would you trade him, or would you? Well, you were shaking your head, Chris. Are you saying you wouldn't give up Wilson for that, or you wouldn't give up Ayuk for that?
I wouldn't give up Wilson for Ayuk.
Yeah,
in a first.
No.
I guess that one just depends on what the first is like. Well, what about this? Would you trade Garrett Wilson for Olave?
Yes, I would do that today. I'll send you that trade tonight, Matt, if you want to do it.
Nah, I think I'm good. Yeah, that was tough, man. That was one to examine. Now, I'm not like we said, Garrett Wilson. Some of this upside stuff has come to a close, but he's still good.
I got one more.
Go ahead, Kraft.
Zay Flowers in the early first.
You know, there's definitely some dynasty heads out there. You know, in the dynasty world, people love those young guys. I know people would do that. I don't know if I could do it though. I'm just being honest. I still do like Garrett Wilson.
That's tough.
It is.
It
tough,
sucks. Man. It sucks.
It does suck. But shout out to Aaron Rodgers. I hope he gets better. Dobbins. We kind of touched on him earlier. Looks like career ending. I feel bad for Dobbins. We don't really have to say too much about him, but it just sucks. It looked like he was going to get all the work. Heck, I got Dobbins in one of my main leagues. I needed him this year, and he was getting all the work and was going to score another touchdown. His career, he's over. As far as Dynasty goes with him, listen, I think you can keep him on your IR and keep him on your roster, but if there's just like some player out there one day and you're willing and you want to pick somebody up and you're just I'm in trouble thinking about who I'm going to drop, I will definitely drop Dobbins. I don't think you're never going to get to the point where you can get something for him. I mean, so Dobbins is just going to be one of those guys you pick up. Maybe he's on another team and he has an opportunity to play for a few weeks. You throw him out there. I mean, we're talking about a couple. Yeah,
like you said, you're never going to be able to get anything for him.
So done. Kenneth Game. Oh, we talked about Gainwell. A little banged up. Got to watch out for that one. Deontay Johnson, hamstring injury. Looks like he might be out a few weeks.
Yeah, that one looked bad during the game. I mean, he was on the ground struggling. It don't look like a quick, easy fix hamstring type deal. They've done rolled him out for week 2, but I could see this lingering. You know, probably 3 weeks, probably out for sure, and then who knows after that. My question with Deontay Johnson would be: Can you drop him? If they say this is going to be like a 4-week thing, can you drop him, or would you hold him?
It's tough, man. I think I'm gonna hold him, but I guess we got to see what it is. 4 weeks is a long time in redraft.
My guy too, man. That was the guy I was all in on too.
Yep, and thanks for looking up for him too. Kenny Pickett was getting better. He had no touchdowns last year. I like that one. Any other injuries that we need to go over?
No, nothing real big. Like we said, Kenneth Gainwell. Keep an eye on him. He might miss this week. I'm sure there's a couple. There's been some offensive line injuries. The Browns lost Conklin, one of their best offensive linemen in the game. He's out for the year. The Ravens lost 2 guys. Don't know the extent of their injuries, but 2 starters for that offensive line. I mean, that plays a big part in your Justice Hill, Gus Edwards situation. So if you don't have your starting guys out there, so just Jacoby Myers concussion, and that's about it for the big names. Hopefully, these injuries slow down this next week because this first week was freaking rough.
All right, I'm gonna go over these leaders real quick. Quarterback, our top 10 guys was Tua, Mac Jones, Jordan Love, Anthony Richardson, Craftman, Anthony Richardson, Justin Herbert, Deshaun Watson, Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, Brock Purdy, and Kirk Cousins to round out your top 10. Any names stick out? Tua, back at it again with Tyreek Hill. I'm telling you, man, me and Kraft was saying, I mean, Tua in the 8th or 9th round, that's a smash all day. You got to hop on that one. Those are the ones that can win you a league. Tua, had a great game. Led the week.
I was kind of bummed he didn't break that record. I was sitting there watching him, and I was like, oh, man, dude, the pace he's going, there's no way he doesn't break this record right now. Ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
They was in a little shootout with the Chargers. Craftman, anything to say about our man Tua?
Nah, just when you watch that game, and when Tyreek Hill said last year that he's the most accurate quarterback in the NFL, I'm starting to believe it because he was just putting the ball on a dot. I mean, every single throw, just some of the tightest windows you can imagine. He was just hitting it. I mean, he looked great.
Yep, Tua. It's funny. I was on the phone with old poor man today, and I was talking about it's funny. It felt like the media loved Tua in college. When he got to the NFL, it just feels like they don't like him as much. I know some of it has to do with concussions and shit like that. Mac Jones, number 2 day. We told you. I mean, Bill Belichick was out of his fucking mind putting those other guys, old Pencilhead, and
Joe
what's
Judge and Matt
Joe
Patricia.
as the offensive coordinator. That was fucking insane. So they bring in Bill O'Brien, and in one game versus a team that went to the Super Bowl, things look way better. So Mac Jones, good for you. Got to be looking at Mac Jones for your second quarterback spot in your Superflex leagues, no doubt.
Yeah, I can say this game they got down 14-0 pretty quick. I would imagine that the Patriots want to run the ball and slow the pace down if they can, but this game was just perfect for Mac Jones to put up some numbers.
Your boy Jordan Love had him a nice little game. Go pick him
Yep.
up if he ain't on your team. He's out there in some of them leagues. Look good against Chicago. That's some good value right there. I told you that I think they were third in the division in gambling odds. I think.
Yeah,
something like that. Some good value. You should listen to me and the Craft Man sometimes. We know
Yes.
a thing or two.
It was a great first showing, but I still want to see. I'm not all in. I'm like cautiously optimistic on Jordan Love. He did look great, but also, I mean, kind of like the Falcons in a sense. If the Packers get behind, I'd like to see how he performs when the defense knows that they're going to throw the football. If you know what I mean. I mean, their offense is running very smooth. Chicago sucks, so just got to keep seeing him progress. And I mean, he missed a couple throws too, but overall, he looked really good.
Anthony Richardson, Craft Man, our Crew vs. Twitter episode took a couple hits in week
That's
1. Calvin
all
Ridley
of it.
balling out. Yeah, we'll see about Pickens. I'm still all right on Pickens, but Anthony Richardson, I feel okay about that one still. But he had the number 4 week, looked good. Calvin Ridley though, sheesh, Craft, we might have to take the L on that one, man.
I'll definitely. That's the thing about us. We will admit when we are wrong,
Big
and
time.
I think we're going to be. We started coming around. If you listen to our last episode before the season, we were coming around a little bit on Ridley, but we're definitely wrong. The Crew versus Twitter episode saying Christian Kirk might be better, but Christian Kirk is the third receiver on that offense.
For
It looks
sure.
like Zay Jones. It looks like I would rather have Zay Jones over Christian Kirk.
Agreed. So Anthony Richardson, a nice little debut. Justin Herbert getting back into the swing of things. Had the number 5 day versus Miami in that shootout that we mentioned. Deshaun Watson. It didn't look good at all times, but got a rushing touchdown, rushed for a 2-point conversion. It was raining up in there. So they ran the ball off Chubb. But Deshaun did what you wanted to do. Patrick Mahomes of the number 7 day with no receivers out there. So, love me some Patty Mahomes. Trevor Lawrence, good day. Brock Purdy, looking sharp.
As usual. That's like his stat line every time. It's like 200 yards or 250 and 2 touchdowns. I heard something today on one of the podcasts I was listening to. I think it was the Footballers. They said he's the only quarterback in history to win his first 6 games and throw 2 touchdowns in every single one of them.
That Trey Lance Colt is crying right now, man. Sad as fuck. Brock Purdy out there just dominating. Any quarterback performances y'all want to take note? Chris, you got any quarterback performances you want to take note of?
Well, I mean, I don't know how you can go without talking about what Joe Burrow did. I just don't think that you can go without talking about Joe Burrow. A whopping 3 points for your fantasy team. You took him early. This is not gonna happen again. I mean,
that was bad.
That was very, very bad. Lamar Jackson as well. So,
that is funny. Joe Burrow just got paid. Goes out there, but like we said, the weather was bad. Joe Burrow, first time on the field in a few weeks too. We like Joe Burrow here, so we ain't gonna sit here. Daniel Jones. I
still like Daniel Jones. I'm not out.
This is a shot at the crew. Imagine ranking Daniel Jones ahead of Kyler in Dynasty, though. Imagine doing that. That's crazy. Motherfucker down here at a top 29 day. Dak, low day, but he didn't have to do shit. But what about Lamar Jackson?
They didn't have to really do shit either.
So, all right, Josh Allen had a bad day. Versus the Jets.
Ooh, we had a terrible day.
Some
The
shit
defense has really shown up week one. The 49ers, the Cowboys, and the Jets really all around the league, it was just a defensive type of weekend, week one. That happens sometimes, though, week one. Sometimes the defenses are a little ahead of the offenses. So I expect some higher scoring games next weekend.
Agreed. So top 10 running backs. We got Aaron Jones, Austin Eckler, Christian McCaffrey at 3, Algier at 4, Tony Pollard 5, ETN at 6, Bijan at 7, Roshan Johnson at 8, Kyron Williams at 9, Nick Chubb at 10. You got some good performances too, like Breece Hall, running back 11, Ramondre 13, Henry 14, Brian Robinson a top 15 day. So good week for some of these guys. Any of those performances stand out? Aaron Jones balled out. Me and Kraft was saying it at the beginning of the year. He's got a little hamstring issue. We'll see what comes out about with the news with that. Eckler just doing what the fuck he does. I mean, he's just great. Pay that man. Somebody pay that man, please. And I ain't even one of these people who care about contracts that much. Like, you get to live your life and make a couple million and go to the gym every day. Somebody pay this motherfucker, man. Good grief.
Yeah, I got a couple things. Breece Hall looked freaking fantastic. He's back. I mean, there was that 83-yard run he had. He probably would have took that to the house if he was 100%. But he still looked great. Dalvin Cook is probably still going to get some carries there, but he looked great. Javonte Williams, he got a decent amount of work in week one. So I was happy with that, to see him back on the field, getting a decent amount. And, some of these big names just let you down. Josh Jacobs, Saquon. I don't expect that to stick, but, it's just a weird week overall. You said Roshan Johnson was the number 8 running back on the week.
Yep.
I mean,
Kyron Williams up in the mix, too. I
Yeah.
want to see people who started those guys. Let me see it. Put them add me on Twitter. I want to see if you started Roshan or Kyron Williams.
If you did, your team is probably pretty bad.
Right. Like you said earlier, Joshua Kelly, number 12, tight end day. Any running back performances you want to throw on out there?
I mean, not really. Nick Chubb just does his thing. One thing that was weird in that Tennessee game is Tajay Spears actually played more snaps than Derrick Henry. But I'm not really looking into that too much.
Yeah, me neither. Wide receiver, Tyreek Hill, we alluded to it earlier with Tua. 44 points, he's just fucking awesome, man. Tyreek Hill is great, man. There's no doubt about it. I said, hey, if you took him at the 101 in redraft, you could justify it. I could make a case for it. Had a good week one, no doubt about it. Ayuk at 2, Jacoby Myers 3, Stephon 4, Kendrick Bourne 5, Ridley 6, Justin Jefferson 7, Pittman 8, Puka Nacua at 9, and Olave at 10. Amon Ra with a good Thursday night game, Romeo Dubs, Mike Evans, Zay Flowers, Devontae Smith, all in your top 20. Zay Jones, Addison had a nice day. But yeah, I listen, man. Imagine fading Stephon Diggs because of some little news that you didn't like to hear the man still in a low scoring game still scored 26 points.
I'm getting false.
Crazy, man, crazy. Any wide receiver performances? Brandon Ayuk, hell of a game. Ridley, we had alluded to it earlier, making me and Kraft look dumb from a couple months ago. Ridley looked good out there.
Yeah, Michael Pittman was weird. I was playing against him in one league, and he had 0 at half. I think he had like 0, had a goose at halftime, and the next thing you know, he's got like 8 catches or however many catches he had and a touchdown. So, Anthony Richardson definitely looked better than I thought he would look.
Yep.
And Pittman benefited from that, but I'm still not on Pittman yet.
Chris, any wide receivers want to hop on real quick? Or Mike Evans did better than what I thought.
Yeah, Mike Evans got the targets that game. From
6
Baker.
receptions,
Oh, Baker.
10 targets. Mike Evans. Hey, I was fading him. You shouldn't do it. Don't do it. Hopefully you didn't listen to some of my things I said about him. But Tampa Bay plus 6. I was all over that one.
Yeah, it's just 1 week. I don't know. There's a lot of folks out there. That's why I can't get on Twitter because it's just the I told you so, folks. And it's like, dude, 1 week.
Right.
1 week.
Craft.
Social
Hold on,
media,
man. Man, fellas, y'all talk about 1 week. I'm talking about 2 drives on the Thursday night football game. They talking about, oh, I told you, David Montgomery's on the field way too much, and y'all thought Jahmyr Gibbs was gonna be. I'm just talking about.
It's a long year, man.
It's only 2 drives. It's like I gotta shout out my boy Jordan Harris. I always get on to him. I was like, dude, at least give Desmond Ridder a chance, right? Just give him a chance. And he ain't look good. Like, you know what I'm saying? He didn't look good, but I'm talking about 1 drive, Kraft. He's trash. We need Heineke in. I'm like, dude, just 1 drive? I mean, come on, man. At least let's see a quarter or something. Like,
yeah,
that's the world we live in, though. Tight ends, though. Fucking tight ends. We'll break it down real quick. Hunter Henry had the top day. Hayden Hurst, number 2. Hawkinson, 3. Parham, 4. Evan Ingram, 5. Komet, 6. Blake Bell, 7. Laporta, 8. Harrison Bryant, 9. Adam Troutman, 10. And that is PPR, by the way. Streaming tight ends. Kraft, you might have said it this episode or before the episode. Stream them. That's the way to do it. I agree. And for some reason, when draft time comes, I'm taking Andrews in the 3rd and shit still, man. I can't help it.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's still a couple takeaways I can take from without overreacting to some of the usages and like some of the games and just how these offenses look. And shoot, I want to get y'all's opinions on some of these. I'm gonna go through a couple of the games, like the Cardinals for me. Cardinals Commanders. James Conner got all the work, but it didn't matter. They're just that bad. Marquise Brown, he's the number 1 receiver on that team. It doesn't matter. The Cardinals are just that bad. I want to know if y'all think anything different on. I mean, we were high on James Conner. I mean, he'll still have some decent receptions and a decent amount of work, but the touchdowns, Cardinals didn't score an offensive touchdown.
Right.
There's going to be a lot of weeks like that.
I mean, he did. Now, volume-based play, I still think that James Conner is going to be useful. 14 carries, 62 yards. Caught all 5 of his targets. And like you said, they're not going to score a lot, but if James Conner's the one that scores that touchdown, you're looking at a 20-point day from him. And, that's about, for somebody you draft pretty late like James Conner, that's better than what you're going to get from some other people.
So still
but
in
I
on
do agree, they look like shit.
What about Marquise Brown? Are you done with him this year?
This year I'm done, but in Dynasty I'm buying low. I'm going to get me some Marquise Brown because situations matter, and no matter what, next year they're going to have Kyler or Caleb Williams or something. That's really your best case scenario for guys like Drake London and Garrett Wilson. You're hoping they trade for Kyler Murray at the end of this year.
Yeah.
I know I've been saying about my Falcons. I'd love it.
Yeah, I bet you would. They're going to be a winning team, though. They ain't going to be able to.
Oh, man.
They ain't able to do that. But Texans and Ravens. Nico Collins had a good day. They're going to be down a lot. They're going to have to throw the ball a lot. Zay Flowers looked great in his debut. I think you can throw him in a flex spot every week.
Yep.
Nico, I would still wait on that one, but still 11 targets for Nico Collins. Not bad. Robert Woods had 10 targets. They're going to be playing from behind a lot. So, y'all got anything to say about that game?
Nah. Just, I like Dameon Pierce, but it's like you said, they're going to be behind a lot. We'll see how much work he would get. But, yeah, Nico Collins, all them guys.
Yeah, we didn't talk about Pierce much.
Yeah.
There might be some days. But the weird thing was they were bringing, like, Mike Boone in on when the game got out of hand to play third down. So, that's concerning a little bit. But Panthers, Falcons, the Panthers got absolutely nobody to catch the ball. Bryce Young's going to struggle.
I do think Mingo will be all right eventually, though. Mingo will be fine, I feel like. Bryce Young's going to be fine, too. He's just young.
But none of them for redraft, though, right? None of these guys for
Hell
redraft.
no. I ain't even smelling them
Hayden
in
Hurst
redraft.
may be one of those little tight end streamers that you talk about. DFS for sure. I would definitely be grabbing me some Hayden Hurst and DFS. If you're trying to stack that lineup and you're going like late and you're like, man, I don't got a tight end, I would throw Hayden Hurst in there in a heartbeat and I wouldn't even think twice about it.
Yeah.
I agree. 1,000% agree with that. Almost did it. Anyways, hey, we said some things about Hayden Hurst. I know I brought him up on a sleepers values. Hayden Hurst, you can get him for cheap, and certain things. So,
he's the best pass catcher on that team.
Yep.
I got a couple more. Jaguars, Colts. We mentioned Christian Kirk, Zay Jones, that whole ordeal. What do you think, Christian Kirk? You think you could? Would you try to go buy him right now?
I'm just gonna be honest. I don't think I am. I like me some Christian Kirk, and I felt like I was pretty right on Christian Kirk last year when I was making some predictions. I think Christian Kirk. I would much rather have Zay Jones and Calvin Ridley. I'm just being honest. Calvin Ridley looks like that he's going to be the odd man out. And I'm going to be honest with you, Kraft. I was looking at some things. I was wondering if I could drop Christian Kirk. I didn't do it yet. I spent a high draft pick on him, like 7th round, 6th or 7th round. But
yeah,
I don't feel good about the Christian Kirk situation. You know, when we did that Twitterverse, there's just a lot of Twitterverse the crew. There's a lot of competition up there, but Ridley's good, and Zay Jones is good, and Evan Ingram's still going to be getting involved, and ETN's still going to be up in there getting involved. Christian Kirk on two wide receivers in the game, 2 wide receiver sets. Christian Kirk's not on the field.
Nope.
That smells like disaster for me. Now, with that said, he's going to have some good games, though. There's no doubt he'll have some good games, and Lawrence will get him involved. So, dropping him is a little extreme, but.
And Titans and the Saints. Michael Thomas had a decent game. Chris Olave had a good game. Michael Thomas had 5 receptions for 61 yards, 8 targets. Is he a flex play every week?
Possibly. I don't know. It's tough. What do you say, Kraft? I don't know.
Michael Thomas or, let's see, Jacoby Myers.
Jacoby.
Yeah, Jacoby Myers.
What about Dubs?
I'd probably go Dubs.
Whew. I still think I'd still there.
In Dynasty, though, go sell Michael Thomas. Go sell his ass. This is your last chance. I'll even take a second.
This is your last chance. You're on that one.
Your last chance.
Yeah.
Go grab him. Heck, I might go try to buy him real quick. For your competing teams.
You go buy Michael Thomas.
I might try. I might go check it out a little bit.
Sniff around. Send a little. What would you send out for Michael Thomas?
A third.
I don't know if anybody's just going to come off the third, though.
I don't know. I did see somebody get a first for him. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw it happen.
And we thought that was crazy. That's why he's trying to get a first for it now, Chris. I mean, they're trying to reconcile. You ain't getting a first for him, motherfucker. I'm going to tell you that now.
We asked him about his team, and he said at this point he's just throwing anybody out there that's got a pulse, man. If they breathing, they on his team.
That's just so funny. Krav, any more games before we wrap this thing on up, man? Or advice, week 1 advice? I know you got some week 1 advice for the people out there, Krav.
Yeah, I got one more game, the Eagles-Patriots, just to mention Ramondre and Zeke. Zeke did have 7 carries, but he had 7 targets also. He wasn't fat. He looked all right. He didn't look too bad. I'm just, for the Ramondre owners out there,
I know that fumble looked pretty bad. Fumble looked pretty bad.
I ain't scared off Ramondre, but Zeke's going to be more involved than people want him to be, I think.
Yep. Well, that'll be one situation to monitor. That's your week 1 recap right there. Broke it down. You got your ad drops. you adding players, we dropping their ass, and then you got some big time injuries that have affected it already. Garrett Wilson talk, but that's about it right there. But anything else to say, Kraft? You got anything out there for the folks out there?
No, we good. I'm ready to do us a little gambling episode. I had a decent little won about $80 last night on Prize Picks. Lost my other ones, but it's fun. Gambling it's an addiction.
I say it all the time, and it's the honest truth. I love fantasy football, but gambling is number one for me. I like to gamble more than the fantasy football part.
You crazy.
That's the truth for me.
Shoot. Taylor sent me a picture yesterday. They're in Vegas right now. He won $7,000 playing at the craps table, dude. $7,000. Shoot, holding the chips in his hand. And then my mom called me and said he lost it all the next day.
Of course, that's the way it goes. You just go for a good time, though.
Yeah. All right. Well, shoot. Thanks for listening to the podcast, man. We're gonna try to get y'all all the information we can. Might hear me and Kraft solo every now and then. Just for the season, we want to make sure you get all the information you need. But with that said, 5-star review. Add the podcast. Go tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a hoe. And we'll, check it out. Listen to us. Add me on Twitter, Craftman. Crew Matt Hamm. And you can add old Craftman Pack Fan too while you at it. But I'm out if y'all are. Y'all ready?
Yep. I was just gonna say, we're gonna attempt to do our best to record on Friday. So, be expecting the episode. Hopefully Saturday morning we can get some gambling stuff. Maybe talk about some of these matchups coming up. But that's next on the docket.
Somehow, some way, we're going to get everybody ad drops, start sits, and gambling. Somehow, some way, we'll get it out to y'all. That's why y'all need to follow us on Twitter, too. I keep it updated. So,
you said start sits, didn't you?
Start sits, yep.
Yeah.
Try to get them out. But with that said, thanks for listening, everybody. But we out.
Peace.